everybody, and welcome to Say Report Jr. Podcast you should be listening to, subscribe to, and downloading every single week. I am one of your, I am one of your hosts, co-hosts, Dale Decker.
I'm one of your other host, co-hosts. I say other, like there's more than two of us. I'm
Yeah,
your
no.
other host, co-host, Zach Sarowick.
Woo!
What was that countdown?
I don't, yeah, I know, because I was like, you and I are forgetting our structure. I just need to start the episode. So
We've never thought that much about the structure of the show is the
No.
problem. So the second we start thinking about it, it completely starts to fall apart. It's just...
That's why I was like, okay, this is the perfect moment to start this episode, is when both of us are confused.
It's also very like Cowboy Bebop seatbelts tank opening. It's just 3, 2, 1, let's jam. Boom, into it. What are we doing? How does this go?
Welcome to the show. Yeah, and we're seasoned at this point. We can start it however we want.
In that we have gone for multiple seasons of a year. I guess it's an ongoing season 1 that will go on forever and all time. But
there's a season that never ends as it goes on and on.
Can you tell we're both kind of tired? I think I can tell we're both kind of tired.
Yeah. I don't know why I'm tired.
I know why I'm tired.
I know why you're tired. I mean, I've been tired for the past couple of days, but I just keep like trying to power through, and then I get those moments where I'm like, now you're overtired and you're just gonna be loopy.
Yeah, the weather's starting to turn as well, and I noticed it today because I had to go out, and Mom and Dad mute this for like 2 seconds. I did my taxes a week and a half late, so I had to go put them in a mailbox today.
Oh goodness.
First off, the same thing happened to me that always happens to me at tax time. Isn't this fun, everyone? We're talking about taxes and the weather.
I was going to talk about the dentist, so...
God, we are just hitting every note. Anyway, the same thing happened to me that happened to my taxes every year since I moved to New Mexico, which was that my federal refund washed out by the amount of money I owe the state of New Mexico, and it's always like $30. It's never a lot of money, but I always get like I got $32 back from federal, and I owed $36 to the state of New Mexico.
Oh my God.
Which means I'm at a net loss of $4.
Jeez.
And I still have to make sure I've got money in my bank account for whenever the state of New Mexico cashes that check. Because nothing is more embarrassing than getting a $12 bounce check fee on $36. But as I was like walking to find a mailbox in East Providence, which is apparently like finding a freaking snipe. Is it the snipe hunt? That's like where you're like wild goose chase. Yeah. It's like trying to find a freaking snipe.
I was just about to go into a Phineas and Ferb song.
Because there's no mailboxes in East Providence, apparently. I even looked it up. The post office has on their website like a thing for like mailbox locators, and the closest one to me was like a 15-minute walk from my house.
Oh, wow.
Like a weird direction. And even then I had to go like hunting for it among all of the buildings and roads. So I found that. But as I'm walking, I'm like, it's like 56 degrees. And because it's been raining for 3 days, it's like 80% humidity. And I hate this. And I want to go back to the desert. Mm-hmm. I miss the dry. I miss it all.
Yeah, the past few days of humidity have just been awful. Like to the point where I am walking downstairs at my job, like terrified that I am going to fall down them because it's already a wet environment. And to add humidity to it is not cool.
I just picture even the back rooms of the aquarium are just covered in water. There's just water everywhere for theme.
Oh man, because like there's a staircase I have to climb, in order to like get to a sound booth, and every time I climb it, when it is like humid and muggy and just gross, I'm like, yep, today's the day that I fall on my face while going upstairs. Oh, I didn't? Okay, then it's surely gonna be when I go down. And I just have this vision of me, like a similar vision to what I have if I go down a down escalator, which you got to see that for the
I
first time.
did.
You got to
I
see
did,
that
and
irrational fear.
I immediately pulled a jerk move by turning around and walking along with it backwards while
Yeah,
I waited for you.
that was so not cool. That freaked me
Sorry.
out. No, no, it's fine because it was hilarious because it made me focus on you instead of my fear. It was hilarious.
It's sad because my immediate overriding thought was, "Oh, I don't want to get too far ahead from you on the escalator. What if I get lost? So let me just do what I need to stay back here till you're ready."
And it was
Uh,
just like effortless. And I'm like, how? How can he do that right now? Like, if I ever tried to do that, I would just freak out. Freak out to no end. It was impressive. I will give it to you that you were able to walk backwards on a down escalator, which
it's the
basically you
most
were
impressive
just
physical feat I can do. I was just walking. I
you were
was.
just walking and basically just climbing a stepper at the gym. It's basically all you were doing. But
Oh
to
God, I
me,
accidentally exercised. I didn't mean to do
you did
that.
accidentally exercise. You exercised? That's not a thing. But anyways, portmanteaus are funny. Anyway,
No, let me wait. There's a caveat. Failed portmanteaus are funny.
yes,
Portmanteaus are
yes,
fine. Failed portmanteaus are the best.
yes.
They're like bad puns.
This is
Ugh.
true. This is true. Yeah. So that's basically I'm always afraid of falling downstairs because I just have this vision of me like butt bumping or like butt bouncing down. It's just this
Actually,
is my life now.
when I was like 7, that was just how I went downstairs
That's how
for
I
the
went
longest time.
downstairs too.
I just sat down and just slid because it was so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, that is how I went downstairs, and I was like, "This is the greatest thing ever. I'm never gonna be afraid of this. I'm never gonna get tired of this." And then I did. It
And then,
happened.
well,
And then I
did you get
watched
tired
too
of it?
many cartoons.
Did you get tired of it, or did you do that thing that happens just like when as you're getting older with like trick or treating, where at some point you hit that like age where you're like, I still want to do it because I know it's fun, but at some point someone's gonna think it's weird if they see me doing it, like
I
a
mean,
14-year-old trick or treating. A 14-year-old should not be sliding butt first down the stairs anymore.
I don't know about. I still trick or treat. So like, I don't know what you're getting at. There's that. No, I'm kidding. I'm at the point where I like handing out the candy now, because I can buy candy, but I don't buy candy. Oh man, yeah. Zach, did I
Uh,
lose you? Oh, I thought
no,
I
I'm here.
lost you.
I'm here. I'm just like falling asleep where I stand because I played
Don't
what
be falling
probably
asleep on the
amounts to a
podcast.
I played it's great podcasting hearing me snore, talk in my sleep, mumble like a fool. I played what amounts to probably 15 hours of a video game yesterday because Devin has it in his head that we're all going to do this together, and
I
because
mean, we should.
we're all bad with like saying no to things, we've all decided that yes, Devin, we will do this thing. And so
Why would we say no though? Like
I don't
he's.
know.
I mean,
I
we
mean, we
did.
wouldn't. That's the thing. He never
That's the
suggests
thing.
things that we don't want to do. It's just really
Exactly.
funny to me that at some point, usually what happens is Devin decides on a thing and then we all do the thing because the rest of us don't know how to make decisions. And so, but I played 15 hours of the Link to the Past Super Metroid randomizer yesterday.
Yeah.
And I'm so mad at it now. I'm mad at it.
Devin's
I
gonna
mean,
be
first
so
off, what was nice?
sad.
It was very nice. No, I mean, I'm mad at this. I shouldn't say I'm mad at this. I'm mad at the one specific seed I was playing, which means I guess I'm just mad at the concept of randomizers. I just,
Yeah.
oh man. So, for those of you who might not know what the hell words just came out of my mouth, there is a version of it is a special version of Link to the Past and Super Metroid, both
Mhm.
from the Super Nintendo, that have mixed them together. So there are like certain doors you go through where you will go from one game to the other. And in either game, you are picking up items for both the whole time. So you have to you have to like play basically two games at once. It basically takes these two games and makes them
Yeah.
one big game.
Yeah.
But
It's a cool concept.
it's a great concept. Here's where it falls apart. It is randomizing the items every time.
Yep.
And so there are certain items in either game where sometimes you just hit a wall where you cannot continue anymore if you have not found an item. Uh, Early on, very specifically, is the morph ball for Super Metroid.
Yeah.
You can't get past like the first two or three rooms in Super Metroid without the morph ball because generally in Super Metroid, it's the first item you go and pick up. You go into the level and you just go down like 5 or 6 screens and you eventually hit a room where the morph ball is and it like opens up the game. That's like start one. And then there are times where you play this randomizer where you just don't find the morph ball. And so after about an hour, you go, well, I've literally gone into every room I can physically walk into right now, and I got nothing.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't hit a wall like that till 15 hours in. So I played a seed yesterday. Seed is like what they call the
The
if
the
like
version of the game that you are currently playing. It's
right,
whatever
the like
ROM you are playing.
the sliders universe that you're in. Like we are in Sliders Universe 0. Sliders Universe 01 is the one where green is red and red is green. Sliders Universe 2.
Oh my gosh.
Uh so I was playing Seed and I was doing very well. I was very happy. I even got to there was actually a couple of points where I thought that I was completely done until Devin explained to me how to play Super Metroid.
Yeah.
Because this is another problem I have is that I have not played Super Metroid nearly enough, and so I don't know a lot of the controls.
Well,
Like it took me a long time to learn that there is a wall jump, and then I'm still bad at it.
yeah.
And then Devin tells me yesterday, well, if you have the spin jump, you can basically do the spin jump in place of having the grappling hook because it allows you to like infinitely jump across the screen. And I was like, what? The game never told me that. The game never told me that. Why didn't the game tell me this? And so I was like, oh, you just opened this game wide open. And then
Yeah.
still 2 rooms later, I was like, well, I'm done. So
Yeah, it's weird. It's cuz that's kind of my fear about, not even fear, but like that's why I haven't like jumped on to the Link to the Past, X Super Metroid whatever, is cuz I've never played a Metroid game except in WarioWare, like where you have to blow up the little brain, and it's like in Dribble and Spitz level. It might not be in Dribble and Spitz. It's definitely 9 volts level, cuz he's all video games. But anyways, is it WarioWare? Is that what the one I'm
one of
thinking of?
those. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming you're talking
It's
about like the mini
definitely
game collections.
it's the
Yes.
DS version where you're playing 9 volts level and you have to fight the Metroid. That's it.
Uh,
That's the only Metroid I've ever played. So I'm like, okay, I just learned Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. I just learned that, and I'm not even too great with it in general. To now go into this, I feel like I just need to play Super Metroid first.
And I think it
And
has been literal years since I have sat down and completely finished a playthrough of Link to the Past. So like I
oh
don't
yeah,
even know what I'm doing half
yeah.
the time in that half of the
Yeah.
game.
It's all, that game is all concept based for me. Like I know what I have to do. It just takes me a second. Like there are text chains to Devin where I'm like, where I restarted it, like tried to do a second playthrough, and I was like, I don't remember what I have to do, and then like 10 minutes later, never mind, I found it, and then like another 20 minutes, I don't remember where I have to go now. And it's just like, okay, it's getting back into it. But Legend of Zelda, it's like very concept based. I have no idea what I have to do in Metroid. I know that
Well,
you can save the animals. That's about it. That's all
are
I
you
know.
thinking about Sonic,
No, there's
where you jump on the things and the animals come
no,
out
no,
of the
no,
giant?
no, no.
Okay.
There's a part in Super Metroid where if you do something, you do some certain thing, and at the end of the game, spoilers for Super Metroid, at the end of the game, when you beat the game and like you jet off of the planet or whatever that you're at, there will be a secondary little pod that comes out, and it's like these animals that you encountered early on or like during the game.
It sounds like a really bad origin story for Star Fox, but also I would never know because I've never. Nope.
So I always tell Devin to
Huh.
save the animals.
So, in order to help with this, Devin also got us well, I say got us, it's not like it's a free download or anything. It's a free download thing, but got us a link to this thing that like tracks your progress through
Mhm.
these two games.
Mhm.
And it's supposed to like every time you pick up an item, it will like populate on the map all the things you can do now that you have that item. So like if you get bombs, like 20 things pop up on the map
Yeah.
because all of a sudden there's all the bombable walls you can go
Hmm.
to. And then in Metroid, it's like as soon as you get the morph ball, like a few rooms open up, and if you get the grapple, a few rooms open up, and all of this. The problem is, I don't know if the Super Metroid tracker is as far along as the Zelda
Zelda
tracker
one.
is,
Mm.
because there's definitely times where like Super Metroid is like, oh yeah, here's like 8 things in green, which means you should be able with the items you have to get them. And it's like, I can't get to, what are you talking about, game? Where is this? And like, because I don't have like a full concept of how you get across some of the screens, the very first room, I say room, but I mean, it's like the top of the planet when you land where your ship is this big wide open area. And at the very top, in the top 2 corners, there's like items you can get to. And I haven't got a clue how I'm supposed to get that high up on the screen.
Yeah.
And yet they have been green since I started the game. And I'm like, game, what are you trying? What is this? What is this game?
Um, Forgive me if I missed it. Did you explain that within the games the items are also cross, like
Yes, but
between the two?
I might not have explained very clearly. But let me think of it this way: like
So, because we
like
should explain that
over
well.
in Link to the Past, you can find you can find Metroid items. So you can
Yes.
find anything that is a pickup item or one of the important items, anything that's like literally classified as an item in Super Metroid might be over in Link to the Past and vice versa.
Yes.
The other thing that I have learned, and I'm sure that if you play just straight Link to the Past randomizers, this is also very obvious, but just how many chests only ever have rubies in them,
Yep.
or bombs
Yep.
or arrows,
Hmm.
where at some point you're just like, I don't need bombs anymore. I need something important. I can't get through a room because
Yeah.
I don't have this. I even hit a situation where I couldn't get into the last like third of a dungeon because the small key I needed to get into the last third of the dungeon was on the other side of the locked door somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard Devin yell many a time
Oh,
about getting rupees, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't do anything for you.
so
Jeez.
the problem just seems to be that like you either hit a situation where if you don't find the morph ball or like a sword, you know how hard it is to kill things in Zelda without a sword. I could like
You just have to
sometimes
avoid them.
sometimes there are
Sometimes you
rooms
can't, but
sometimes there are rooms where you can't get the small key or get out of the room until you've killed everything,
yep.
and you have no way of killing the things,
Yep.
so you're just kind of stuck there.
Yeah.
Luckily, like in Link to the Past, you have the option to cancel the game and restart and like save and quit and pick some other areas to, oh, that's fine. You don't have that option in Super Metroid. If you get stuck in a
Oh,
room in Super
really?
Metroid, you're stuck in a room in Super Metroid. There's no way out.
Really?
If you end up in a situation where you cannot get out of a room in Super Metroid, that's end game because you don't have a like restart option within game.
Huh.
And also, God help you if you didn't save recently, because the save system is like you go into a room and save it. It's not like save as you go the way that Zelda is. So, like, if you get stuck in a room or if you die, if you haven't saved for 4 hours, it will go back to wherever it was, the last place you saved.
Yeah.
And also, all of the items you picked up since you saved it will be back on the map, which means that your tracker is now wildly out of date. And there's no good way to go back and figure out what you did.
Huh. I did not know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
So
crazy.
like there's a couple of times where I hit a situation where I accidentally like where if I died and I realized, oh, here's like 8 rooms I went into and picked up items and I don't remember what they were anymore. It's like,
Oh
I think I'm done
God.
with this seed. Bye.
Yeah. Oh jeez. Yeah. No. That. Yeah. I get very nervous when it comes to the Metroid Cross
Oh
Link
man.
to the Past one. I mean, I want to do it. I just keep not doing it. Uh. Yeah. That sounds
But
frustrating.
while I was doing all of this though, I was also catching up on Gotham because
Oh.
Gotham's about to end like this week.
Yes, it is.
I don't think I'm going to catch up to it because Fox, for some dumb reason, is doing the thing where every like five, it's only the last like 5 episodes that are available, which means that there isn't the first half of like season 5 available to me right now.
Oh.
So after I'm done with season 4, I don't know where I'm gonna go watch the rest of season 5 before I watch the finale, but I'll get there. But oh my God, that show.
Yeah.
I don't. Again, I'm putting the show in the same concept as Doom Patrol at this point,
Mm.
whereas it is a show that I cannot stop watching, and also I cannot tell you if I like it or not. Every time, every
I
time I
get
watch
that.
it, I go, I can't tell if I like this, but also, what's the next episode going to be
Yeah.
about?
It's impressive that shows can do that because at least it's keeping your interest, but it doesn't it does it in this weird way. That's happening with like Bull, like the show Bull. Like there are episodes that I am totally on with, and then episodes where in the first 5 minutes I'm like, yeah, I'm done. I want to be done with this now. Please stop. But we keep watching it and I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's like you don't want to miss anything because you already know the characters and you care about some of them, but you don't care about others. It's
And
annoying.
I'm also just amazed that like we are in Gotham is in its fifth season and finally ending, which is I think what they planned on anyway.
Mm.
But the fact that that show did not get canceled after like season two blows my mind, knowing Fox's track record for things. Because since it started, Gotham has not been like a beloved DC show in any sense of the word,
No.
and yet Fox is like, nah, this is the one we're going to keep going with.
Mm.
No, no, no. We like. Here's the thing. Ryan McKenzie really brought some heat for us with the OC. What if we just give him this one? Donald Logue, Grounded for Life, love that one. What if we just give him this one?
Oh my god. Yeah, no.
Oh,
That's crazy. That's so funny.
oh,
Yeah, and
man.
I like you say fifth season of Gotham. To me, it always feels like Gotham has only been out for like a year
Yeah, right, because you forget
because
about it.
you forget about it. You forget that it continues on. Yeah. I can't believe there are 5 seasons. That's insane to me. I would have guessed 3.
And what's amazing is that like 5 seasons, and so first season is like whew, has some bad episodes, everybody. It's a bad show in the first season. I understand why people fell off of it.
Yeah.
But then what happened was when season two came around, I don't know if like some new people came in at the top of that show or what, but they were like, what if instead of trying to do a full, because the seasons are all 20 something episodes because it's a Fox show and that's what they do.
Mm.
But instead of trying to do one long 22 episode season arc kind of thing, they were like, what if we just did like 10 or 12 episodes is a story, and then the last 10 or 12 episodes of the season is is like the other half of that story or like a different arc or something. So really, in 5 years, you get like 9 seasons of a show. If after the first 22 episode season, they went, what if we just did like 10 episode seasons? And that's why it gets like phenomenally better starting in the second season because all of a sudden they're only writing for like a 10 story arc as opposed to a 22 story arc and then filling in things with like the worst filler ever. I'm not saying there aren't still bad episodes. There are still some clunkers in there and some weird shit that goes on. Poison Ivy has changed by 3 actors at this point.
Wait, really?
Yes,
Wait.
because they decided. I
Different
think they just
ages or just
yes.
like
So here's the thing. So they decided to write it in. What happened was I think that they lost the actress for the first Poison Ivy. Like she like wanted to leave the show, so they needed a reason for her to change. So they were like they like make up a whole reason why she changes, and then the next season they were like, well, we did it once, might as well do it again and just make it a thing she does. And so she just changed actors again.
huh.
Um, and then
Okay.
other weird things like season three, they started integrating stories from the comics that have literally only been out for a few years.
Mm.
The New 52, whenever DC did that, they did their big reboot, the New 52, which I think happened when I was in college. So
Mm.
like somewhere
Yeah.
between 2007 and 2012. Um, that introduced a bunch of stuff to the Batman mythos, like the Court of Owls, which is this like shadowy group that runs everything in the background in Gotham and all this other stuff, and they're just in season three. And it's like, okay, so like this 5-year-old concept in the comics is now just part of this show, I guess. That's weird. Um,
Yeah.
and then there's like another character that's very basically Harley Quinn, but since they don't have a Joker yet, they just like she's not technically Harley Quinn, but she's Harley Quinn.
We all know.
She
We
acts like
all know.
Harley Quinn. She acts like Harley Quinn. She's in a group that's called the Sirens at this point. Like, yeah, no, it's Harley
Yeah.
Quinn. We just don't have that character in the show right now.
Yeah. That's crazy. Oh man.
Uh, but that's been my Actually, that's been like 2 days of
Your
my last
your
week.
2 days?
Yeah.
Oh man, what have I done? I'm trying to think. Um, I watched some movie. I don't even remember the name of it.
I don't know either.
Um,
I don't know what you're talking about.
yeah, I don't know. I watched some movie. Scream? Was that it? Scream? Was that what it's
Scram?
called? Scram?
I watched Scram.
Is it Scram? Yeah, no. So Zach and I watched Scream on
Yeah, we did.
Friday,
Oh man.
and I can't believe that I enjoyed it as much as I did. And I keep saying that because I keep not believing it.
Well, what was fun to me, and what I hope continues, because we'll watch the others as we go here. But what was fun to me was like every scene for like the first half of that movie, you were like, "Holy crap, it's that guy! What the hell is she doing in this movie?
Yeah.
What the hell?"
Yeah. Cause I didn't realize, I never knew that Matthew Lillard was in that movie.
Yeah, he is. That
Never,
was right around the same time as Wing Commander.
never
So,
fucking knew that. Never knew that.
and he's just playing what's his guy from Hackers.
Yeah,
Like he's
he's
just
basically just
just
playing Matthew Lillard.
who is
Yeah.
also the same character in Perfect Score with
Yep.
Chris Evans and Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah. He's just Matthew Lillard only ever plays Matthew Lillard. Like even as Shaggy,
Been playing
it's
Shaggy his whole life.
it's just Matthew Lillard. Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, I'm really happy that I enjoyed Scream, and
Oh, believe me, I am too. You have any idea how much I would have been like heartbroken if you had hated that while we were watching it?
I know I would have felt bad. It would have been hard. But no, because the whole time, like, first of all, I I go into scary movies because like try to find things to make fun of so I don't get scared. But the thing about Scream was it wasn't scary.
No, it's like
It's
half
just
comedy. It's like half a comedy
it's
on
just
top of everything else.
funny. Like so I just have these like pre notions of all these slasher films and all of these, Halloween time movie stuff when honestly, you guys can watch these movies anytime. You don't need Halloween to watch scary movies. That is a whole nother issue that I have with that season and all of that because you could watch them
Especially when
anytime.
especially when you consider most horror movies come out in February because
Yes,
that's when studios dump out horror movies to make some quick
exactly.
cash at the beginning of the year.
Exactly. Horror movies can be played anytime, just like Christmas movies. But anyways, um, that was a heavy comment that I just
Shazam,
made.
Shazam, that great Christmas movie that just came out 2 weeks ago.
Exactly. But no, so I went into it thinking that it was going to be way more scary than it actually was, and then I laughed the entire time. And it also, the whole time I was watching it, I'm like, oh, this is a lot. And I mentioned this to you. I was like, this kind of, in a weird way, is reminding me of Jaws, in that you don't ever like you see the killer in Scream. You really, I mean, you do. You get to see him.
Skulking in the bushes in the
Yeah,
middle of broad daylight for some
broad
reason.
daylight, because that was the dumbest thing you could have done. With like,
I
like
forgot about like watching it with you this time opened my eyes to so many weird things, like the fact that just like there are just a couple of shots of just they're just
they're just
in the
there.
bushes outside in broad daylight and then running away again, which is like
Yeah,
why would that happen?
it's basically like, oh yeah, we need to remind you that this is also going on.
This was a really heavy conversation about how Nev Campbell's mom was sleeping around town. So
Yeah,
let's just get a shot of the killer in the
jeez.
bushes to break the
The
dramatic
tension.
tension.
Yeah, yeah. To make you be like, oh god, oh no. So yeah, so you get to see them, him, them. I don't know. So you get to see them, but you never see who the actual killer is until the end of the movie. Much like Jaws, you know there's a shark out there. You just don't get to see it with your eyes until the moment where he is eating Quint. Like,
And it
and it,
Yeah, and it plays on so many of the tropes of like because Scream came around years after like the
mm,
big slasher movie boom of like the 70s and 80s. And actually, I've heard the story once or twice. I have no idea how true it is. But Scream was originally supposed to be a spoof. Like it's fun. The reason that it's half comedy is because it was originally supposed to be a like dark comedy
Mm.
slasher movie spoof, much like Scary Movie later, and may have in fact been called Scary Movie originally
Oh well.
before Wes Craven got on board and was like, "What if we made this like a real movie though?" And
Yeah.
so
And just have the
they changed the
jokes
name to
though.
Scream. They kept all the meta context stuff about
Mm.
slashers, but they left a lot of the humor in, which I think really benefits that movie.
Mm.
But it had also been years since there had been like major slasher films. Like
Yeah.
most of those ended at the end of 1980. Really not a lot going on in the early 90s with that. So for Scream to come in like all these years later and be like, we're just going to reference all of this stuff that you remember from the 80s. And also, we're going to play on a bunch of the tropes, like the fact that, like, the killers in this, without giving away who the killers are, they're not randos. These
No.
killers are not people who
No.
did not show up for the whole movie until the last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
They're there the whole movie.
Yeah. And like I was not surprised. I was like,
You were
oh
not
yeah.
surprised. What was great was that you
I was
called it at the
surprised by one
beginning,
of
and
them.
then the movie also like subverted you 5 times. You kept going, "That's the killer." No, wait, it can't be him then. Wait,
Yeah.
then it's this guy.
Yeah.
Wait, then it's this
Yeah.
guy.
I will say, and again, not to spoil who the killers are, because there are people in the world who haven't seen Scream. I was very surprised by one of them, but it made a whole hell of a lot of sense.
It did, and yet there's also that great scene. Oh, I can't even like, again. I don't want to spoil it, but the like right before
I mean, it's
the
been out for
second,
a
right
while.
before
We
the two
could
of them are
spoil
revealed.
Scream.
Yes. Okay. If you don't want to hear it, jump ahead like a few minutes. Right when
You
Stu
should
and
know
Randy
yeah, you should
run
know
up
the
to
deal.
yeah. Once Stu and Randy run up to the front door and they're like accusing each other. I love that moment
Yeah.
because literally everything in the movie has led up to the possibility that either one of them could be the second killer along with
Yeah.
Billy. Like
Yeah.
literally, if either one of them turned around and was the killer, it makes as much sense as the other one. And I love that shot of the
Yeah.
two of them at the front door, and she just goes "fuck you" and locks them both
Yeah,
out.
it's so good. Like Sydney Prescott,
Yes. Oh my
badass.
God.
Like she is so badass. And that was another thing that I mentioned about watching it. And I'm like, these like the women in this movie are like super capable to like they fight back. They get some good shots in. Poor Tatum gets killed, but you know, I
Well,
guess she
yes,
had to.
but in defense, she was trying. She had to die
Oh,
just because Sidney Prescott has to be the one that survives at the end of
yes,
all of it.
exactly.
But
No, I mean the Tatum puts up a really good fight, and it's not like she's dumb. She like grabs actual things that can be weapons to protect herself.
yeah, she like
And
smashes bottles and shit on his
yeah,
head. She
and
doesn't
she
like she's not
sees
like grabbing rubber this
exactly.
and plastic that.
Exactly. Where like there have been other, movies. I've never seen these movies, but I know that it's a discussion where like the women in these movies are just dumb, but it's she. And you said, well, she goes through the cat door, but it's like that's the only other exit that she can get to quickly. Because I'm sure there's like it's a garage she's in, so there wouldn't be a window. Because you know how in like some basements there are those windows. I mean, I have
There's
them.
like
I
the
have
small
them in my
windows,
basement.
right? I
They
have them in
that.
mine as well.
Yeah,
Yes.
they have that small window. There weren't even those. So her literal only exit was the cat door or the dog door because the scream mask killer dude was blocking the only door exit and the button to open the garage door. So like she had the forethought to be like, it might not work, but I'm gonna try.
I just watched
and
the
go
cat
through
go
this.
out this thing, and it's my only
Yeah,
option.
yeah.
Yeah. What
So
the other thing that I love about the movie, because you were talking about how like all of the women are capable and stuff, and everything seems to make sense. Here's the other thing about that. The way the movies that a lot of the movies it's referencing and the things that it's playing on is playing on tropes and beliefs and things that are kind of remembered a certain way, but when you actually go back and
are
watch them are
true.
completely different.
Yeah.
Because like you talk about how the women are capable in this, and I think about the original Friday the 13th and Friday the 13th Part 2, which are two of my favorite horror movies. And both of them, the women in that are extremely capable.
Yeah.
The second one is like the final girl is a psych student, and the way that she gets out of it is she puts on like Jason's mom's sweater and convinces him that she is his mom and like freaks him out so she can escape. It is
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. And like I think that's what those ideas definitely, like, I've had those conversations, and I've read and I've seen, I don't read them, but I've seen like the articles that come out about like women in these slasher films and the horror movies, and it's like, okay, now, and you just said that you are also bringing it to light too. It's like, now, okay, now I'm questioning these because things get misquoted all the time. So tropes can get you know,
Misremembered and like
misremembered
misinterpreted and stuff.
in certain ways
I'm
too.
sorry. I have to stop this for like 2 seconds. My mother just delivered iced coffee to me and it freaked
Oh,
me out.
that's
I'm like sitting, I don't know if you
hilarious.
heard like the banging in the
I
background because
did. I
yeah, that was
wasn't
my
sure what
mother
it
knocking
was.
on
I
the back
definitely
door down.
heard ice. And I was like, oh, that's
I
fun.
was like, what is this? Because okay. And then I saw my mother in the shadows handing me iced coffee. Oh
That's
man.
fantastic.
But
Um,
yeah, the trope thing, the thing that makes me laugh is again, I love these movies. They're my favorite movies. Randy is an idiot.
oh
I
yeah.
love Randy. I love Jamie Kennedy in these movies, but Randy is like the perfect example
Jamie, no,
of
Jamie,
the
no.
movie bro because he's kind of wrong, but because he's like 17, of course he's wrong. He's
Yeah,
going with whatever
exactly.
he's decided, right? So the rules that he sets out at the beginning or at the party, the very first rule he's talking about with the virgins don't, only virgins survive thing is wrong. Because
Yeah.
again, Friday the 13th and Friday the 13th Part 2, both of those final girls are like part of their storyline is that they had existing relationships with someone else in the movie.
Yeah.
Like they are not virgins.
Yeah.
And like the idea of like that sex and drugs are what gets you killed in these
Yeah.
movies. It's like, yeah,
And alcohol,
kind
but
of, except that usually the final girl is usually in parking and all of that as it happens.
yeah.
Like there's no reason to think that, but because he's like 17 watching these movies and going with what he's been told all of these years, like
Mhm.
that's the opinion he formed
Yeah.
and that's what people bring back later on. And it's like that's great, but also like Tree and Happy Death Day to You
Yes.
is closer to like those like Sidney Prescott and Jamie Lee Curtis's characters even that get brought up and these characters from Friday the 13th. She's closer to them than she is a subversion of the tropes that exist later
Yeah.
because like that's probably what they were going for.
Yeah.
But guess what? You just wrote a great female character and they have existed in horror for a very long
Yeah.
time.
And I mean, it makes me kind of sad that like I had this notion and like that I was nervous about going into it because of what media has done and the tropes that have been done. And I mean, even to bring it up again cuz we've definitely talked about this episode, the episode of Boy Meets World where they are trapped
The
in,
like the dream episode where they're all
yeah,
trapped in the
they're
slasher
trapped
film.
in the slasher film kind of thing, and it ends up to be Sean Hunter is the killer, blah blah blah. Like Angela, the whole time, like she is this, like, and Angela is super super like badass on Boy Meets World and everything, and she is, fantastic, but she is the girl who is constantly screaming, constantly just running, like, and she seems kind of not Angela, if I'm
Yeah.
remembering it correctly. And it's been a while since I've seen that episode, but she definitely like takes a step back from the actual Angela character, and I'm like, oh, okay, so that's all that females are in slasher films? Cool. They're just gonna scream the whole time and then bite it in the end? Alright.
And
Um,
let's be I'll also say this because I was just like, oh, it's not as bad as it was. It was also bad because here's the thing. The stuff that's like really famous and really popular tends to buck a lot of those tropes. The problem was that what followed after those movies became popular was 100 other movies coming
oh,
out that
yeah.
do fall into those stereotypes. So what happened was like because it even happened after Scream came out because then you get into the early you get into the early 2000s where it's all like remakes of either trying to redo Scream or they're all
Yeah.
remakes of older movies and what tends to happen is that someone went, "Oh yeah, remember those rules they talked about in Scream? We'll
Let's
just
just
make
make
all of
them
our movies
real.
based on those
Yeah.
rules."
Yeah.
It's like, no, you don't. And like after like Friday the 13th got big, it was years of summer camp killer movies
Yep.
and years of serial killer movies and Madman in the Woods kills a bunch of people and they just completely ignore any of the characterization stuff that goes into those. And they just like, oh yeah, get a bunch of kids out in the woods and then they all get killed because they're, I don't know, smoking pot. Kill them. It's like, no, that wasn't what the movie was. Wait, you missed so much.
You missed
Anyway,
everything, guys.
yeah.
Yeah, no. I think it also was very beneficial that I hadn't seen other slashers, or I hadn't seen, because I was talking to Devin about it too. And Devin doesn't really, he doesn't like really like Scream that much, because he's like, okay, I've seen it. So it wasn't new to him when he had watched it. And Devin, if you want to rebuttal, please feel free. I think that would be very fun. If I am, misquoting or anything like that, please, you can do that. You're my, I don't know where I lost my train of thought. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. So he sorry. He
Just let me get back to that one on your own.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. He had seen like other slasher films, so when he watched Scream, he's like, okay, I've already seen this and maybe done better in ways where the only other like really like this kind of movie that I've seen would probably be Happy Death Day and Happy Death Day to You. And Jaws, if we're gonna keep in the vein of not knowing not seeing the face of the killer until like having their presence there and all that. So I didn't like, I've never seen Halloween, I've never seen Friday the 13th, I've never seen these like big name slasher movies before I saw Scream. So it was pretty new to me. So I got to enjoy it for the first time through fresh eyes and all of that, and got to dispel all of the predeceived notions. Is that the word? Yeah.
Preconceived notions?
Preconceived notions. Thank you. All the preconceived notions by watching it. So yeah, no, I'm really happy that I got to see it, and I'm very happy that I enjoyed it.
That's like entirely how I like got into horror too, was through Scream because
Yeah.
like I turned 17 and I was suddenly able to rent R-rated movies for myself. And so I was like, I'm gonna get Scream. I've heard good things about that Scream movie.
Yeah.
And I watched all what was then just the three movies, all three of them like in a row. And I was like, I love this. And then from there, I was like, they talk about Friday the 13th, went back and watched the Friday the 13th movies. They talk about Halloween, went back and watched the Halloween movies. Like that's launched me back into seeing all of these other things. So you're right that like Scream really works if you've never seen those movies, because then you can just like
Go back.
accept those references and then you
Yeah.
get later how sometimes they're like misconstrued and all that. And that's also fun in its own way, but it has like made Scream this great thing where I can go
Yeah.
back now and watch it every year and find something new, because every year I'm learning something new about like horror and stuff, or I have found someone who has never seen it before. It's like, oh, you gotta watch this. Oh,
Hey, just sit down. You're gonna watch it right now. Yeah, I when we were hanging out, I was like, yeah, I don't know what we're gonna do. Maybe play video games. And I got to your house, and you're like, it's a Scream. Scream is happening.
You gotta watch
And I was
Scream?
like,
We got 2
okay.
hours. You gotta put this on.
It was great.
You wanna see
Ow.
you wanna see Courtney Cox's hair just like change
Oh my
5 times?
God. And I didn't know. Like, I knew Courtney Cox was in these movies, but I didn't know she was a news reporter. I thought she was like one of the kids going through
yeah.
all this shit. So that blew my mind. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
this
crazy.
is 96, so
I
there
know.
are 3 years into
That-
Friends at that
yeah,
point.
Yeah, that's why everything about it blew my mind. Cause I was like,
That's
this
why,
is
by the
crazy.
way, everybody, Courtney Cox is the one that like bounced into movies first before everybody else, and then like managed to ride that fame. That's why she's the most famous of the Friends at
Oh
this
yeah.
point.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Ugh.
definitely. Oh man. So Scream. Let's put Scream away for a second. The other stuff I've done revolves around cartoons.
Yay!
Cartoons. Woohoo! I finally watched the first episode of
Cuck? Of what now?
of Cupcake
What?
and Dino.
What cartoons are you finding
Shut
online?
up. adult themed stuff. Shut up. It was Cupcake. I was trying to say Cupcake. And it came out as
something else.
Cuckold or something. It was like about to be cuckold, and I'm like, that's not anything. I mean, that is something, but that's not a cartoon. Imagine if that was a cartoon.
Let's
Imagine
not.
if there was a cartoon
Cupcake
out
and what
there
now?
called
What are we
Cuckold.
talking about? What's going on?
So when Sejin and I recorded our crossover episode, we talked about children's shows and like children's cartoon shows and whatnot, and cartoons in general and animation in general. And one of the shows he suggested was Cupcake and Dino, and it's pretty much what it sounds like. It's about a cupcake and a dinosaur, and they're brothers, and they go on adventures. It's actually called Cupcake and Dino General Services. So they have like a business lined up where if you need help, you call Cupcake and Dino, and they will come and help you out and make sure everything's all good. And it is hilarious and adorable, and I loved every second of it. I was explaining it to a person at work, and I was like, it's pretty much like those shows where it's a kid show. Like, first and foremost, it is like a, young, like in that middle of kid and teen age, but it's enjoyable to adults because it has that same feeling of like SpongeBob or something, where it has these weird, obscure, like out of nowhere kind of jokes, but it's surrounded by an animated cupcake with arms and
So it is
dinosaur.
just like straight up a cupcake and a dinosaur.
Yeah,
It's just like
straight up a cupcake and a dinosaur, and like the people in the town are also there's some people that are foods. There, there's mainly people. I mean, it's mainly just people, but they are like different.
so there's also humans that are also clearly
humans.
clearly tripping this whole time because
And
this
yes,
cupcake and this dinosaur are
pretty
talking.
much. I also probably could compare it to Adventure Time. I never watched Adventure Time, because when it first came out, I was really against it for some reason, because everybody was like, you need to watch Adventure Time. It's totally a show for you. And then I watched maybe 5 minutes and was like, no, I don't like when people tell me, stop it, you don't know
It's a show that grows up, the same as Steven Universe did, which is like it starts off as like a bunch of disjointed episodic stuff and then grows up into a like very specific story that it's telling. But it does take its time getting there.
I mean,
I
now,
understand.
I totally do, like at this point in time, I want to go back and watch Adventure Time now that I don't have every single person in college and to the degree like senior year of high school shoving it down my throat.
I've rewatched the beginning. I've like rewatched the beginning of Adventure. Like, every now and then I go, I'm gonna watch Adventure Time, and I would get like a few episodes in, and then kind of fall off to get distracted by other stuff, and then inevitably go, I'm gonna watch Adventure Time, and then do the same thing again. So I've watched the first like 4 or 5 episodes of that show 1,000 times, and then I've watched in the last episode they do a song, and I have watched that song a million times.
Yeah, and it's funny. Like there's imagery
and I don't know what
in it.
happens in between.
There's imagery in it that I really enjoy too. So it was really the fact of like every single person around me was talking about it and literally was like, you need to watch this, you need to watch it, you need to watch it. And I'm like, okay, so I'm going to take some years away from it, let it do its thing, and then I'm going to go back because I can't have this going on. There's already other shows that I want to be watching that you aren't shoving down my throat and making me freak out about. So, thank you. Cool. But I do want to watch Adventure Time again. Or go back and watch Adventure Time. But yeah, Cupcake and Dino was really, really cute and really adorable and hilarious. And I recommend it to everybody. Because in the first episode, they have to take care of a smart house. And they teach the smart house what friendship is.
So basically, it's Smart House from Disney.
Basically,
without the music video in the middle.
Without the music video. Hey, that is the best. We have had this discussion. It is the best. It basically is Smart House, but instead of like motherly duties, it is trying to do friendship duties, and it becomes evil. But there is a really good the house's name is Angles, I think. I might have that wrong. But the house's name is Angles, and they're playing cards together, and they're like, "Oh, great, you won again." And Angles is like, "Let's play another round of Angles wins at cards." And it's like, "Oh, okay." This is
Uh,
too adorable. Yeah, it's so out. It's so funny. But yeah, definitely recommend it to everybody. The other cartoon news that I have is I went back and I started watching Pokemon, the original anime of Pokemon.
oh God, you mean Ash
Um,
stumbles through life forever?
yes, yes, precisely. Because that is another show that I never watched as a kid, and now I have the ability to, so I'm doing it. And I have now
Watched it
officially,
every morning for like 3 years. I watched it so much.
but I have now officially watched Ash get his like first 6 Pokemon, which like
Oh God. Okay, yeah. No,
yeah,
I just remember. Have you seen him try and catch the seventh yet?
I
Have
don't
you
think
seen what?
so. The
Okay,
last episode I watched was the Squirtle Squad.
because there is an episode that directly deals with the fact that if you have more than 6 Pokemon, they go into the PC,
Yeah,
and it's so funny that like I don't understand how Ash is a character who is like obsessed with being a Pokemon master, but doesn't understand how Pokemon work,
yep.
how Pokemon battles work, how Pokemon badges work, how having more than 6 Pokemon
He's
work. He doesn't understand the concept of anything.
he's just a surrogate for the playable
He's
character.
just a
He's
fanboy.
just a red. He's just a surrogate for red. And it's like there is one episode that is so painfully like, this is your guide to how to play Pokemon. You need to weaken the Pokemon. You need to do type matchups. You need
Yeah, which the
it's
anime will
the
then completely ignore later on.
yeah,
The fact that
yeah.
it's like, oh, these are how type matchups work, but also, fuck that. This is
Oh,
how,
oh,
like,
so it's how I play Pokemon. That's cool. That's cool. That's fine. Cause that's 100% how I play Pokemon. I make my
type matchups.
Pokemon fall in love with me, and then
what am types?
yes, exactly. I form that bond with my Pokemon, and then the type matchups goes out the window because they will dodge, they
I
will
love
heal
I
themselves.
love that you're like, I love you too much to not put you in this battle where you might get hurt. I'm sorry. I want to see you too much.
Exactly. But no, there's the episode like before. I think it's before the Bulbasaur and before. Yeah, it's before the starter, like the 3 starter episodes. It's like the School of Hard Knocks, and it's the school
Is
that
that
these.
the one where the guy has the sand shrew that he's like
No,
abusing?
no, no, no,
No,
no, no,
that's
no,
a
no.
different one. Okay.
That was the episode before it, where it's like an
Okay.
unlicensed gym,
That's
but
right. Okay.
He's like, my goal in life is to win 100 battles, and then I'm gonna try for the Pokemon League. And he does it. He like wins his 100th battle, and it is like it's a weird episode because it shows that like yeah he's hard on his Pokemon, but all of his Pokemon love him.
It's it's great because he might as well be how you actually play Pokemon,
Yeah,
which is I abuse them by sending them into battle after battle after
yeah,
battle
and
until they've
like
all fainted.
and I make them train and train and train, and I'm gonna make my Sandshrew jump in water so it will like develop a resistance to it. But it's weird that
Not how Pokemon work, by the
no,
way.
no, like that episode I don't know how I feel about. Because on one hand it's like yeah his Pokemon love him, like they do, and he clearly cares about them, but it's definitely I can't get into that episode. The episode that I want to get into is the episode about the School of Hard Knocks or whatever. That's the episode's title, but it's about Gina, I think is her name. She's like some cool trainer person, but they go to this school, this training school, where all of your Pokemon knowledge is all and all of your fights is all like school based. So it's all digital based, it's all simulations, it's all book, like reading of books, talking about in class, going to classes, and then once you get through the school, you go and you fight the Pokemon League. Which, like, no.
Wait, hold on.
No,
Hold
no.
on.
You
What
don't
about
have
them
any
8 badges?
experience.
What about them 8 badges in the
Yeah.
middle you're supposed to be getting?
Yeah, no. It's like where beginner, it's like starter, beginner, something advanced, elite, or whatever. It's like different stages that you go through, and that each stage is equivalent to a badge. And it's like, no, please no. This is ridiculous. Like, you have all of the, and it's basically for the kids who parents have money, and they're like, yeah, we're just gonna pay for my kid to learn about Pokemon.
None
and
of this,
not
none
go
of this
on an
kicking my
adventure.
kid out the door at
Yeah.
10 years old to spend time by themselves
Yeah,
with wild animals.
Exactly. To learn who they are as a person. No, we're gonna promote like bullying and stuff because we're gonna have tiers of grades and it's gonna be great. And it's not. But that whole episode is basically like book smart. It's book smart versus street smart. That's really what it is. And then even more so, it's just a guide to Pokemon and how to play Pokemon. And there's even a moment where the kid that they become friends with, the Ash, Misty, and Brock become friends with, his simulator is a Pokemon battle from like the original Pokemon games on a computer. But in
I love
color.
it because it's like here's an entire group of you nerds who want to talk about how unrealistic the anime is versus the game. We made you all the bad guys by making you the nerds in this episode, and you're wrong.
Yeah, it's such a weird episode to watch, and they're like, yeah, you can only do that. You can only hold 6 Pokemon, and then once you hold 6 Pokemon, blah, blah, blah. And then it goes into how, like, the Gina girl, it goes into the starters, it goes into how he picks Pikachu, which, like, not his choice, first of all, but they love each other. Want to make that
Well,
clear.
to be fair,
It
they
takes
do
some
not
time.
at first.
They don't at first, but they love each other. But she's like, and I can't, and it goes on to this whole like rant where she's like, I can't believe you picked a Pikachu because Pikachu is the hardest Pokemon to blah blah blah, and
What's
and you don't know that you need to level up your Pokemon, blah blah, and she just like gives you like this info dump of a dialogue box, and it's like, please just fight
I might
me.
be
Please just fight me so I can
entirely
move on.
I might be entirely wrong about this. This is a special segment of the podcast where Zach thinks he remembers something but could be pulling something out of his butt. But I believe the anime started the same year that like Pokemon Yellow came out in
Yeah,
Japan.
I don't know.
And so like the anime and Pokemon Yellow are kind of line up compared to what would have been Red and Green in Japan.
Yeah. Well,
Because everything came out like a year and a half later in America. So like by the time Red and Red and Blue come out in America, the anime is also coming on, but then Yellow doesn't come out for like another year and a half, which seems like they're responding to how popular the anime is, even though Yellow was out at the same time. Oh, it's all crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But like so much of that I think has to do with the fact that like people are presumably playing Pokemon Yellow in like coinciding with watching the anime versus like having played the game for a year before the show came out.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I don't know. It's weird because I was talking to someone about it, and they were like, yeah, the anime was basically to promote the video game, so of course they're gonna throw the video game logic in there too.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
like,
all and the
but
card
it's, like,
game. It's
crazy.
all linked together.
Like it's all okay. Okay, cool, but still. Don't make it that obvious, guys. Like, it hurts. Like,
I mean, I haven't watched Yu-Gi-Oh, but I got to assume that there is some serious rule deliberation in the Yu-Gi-Oh anime.
Yeah. But yeah, and now I've seen him. I've watched Ash catch his first 6 Pokemon, get his first 6 Pokemon, because he doesn't catch all of them. He does not catch all of them. 3 are basically just given to him.
Hey, kind of like 3. His badges. 3 are just kind of like given to him.
The 3rd one? Hold on. I haven't gotten to the third gym? Does the third one just get given
I
to
don't even
him?
remember.
Because I'm
What's
gonna
the
be
third
pissed.
badge? Third badge is that Surge?
That might be
No,
Surge. I don't
Surge is
remember.
4, isn't he?
I don't remember.
No, he's 3. Surge is 3 because
Is it Surge?
Misty is 2, right?
Yes.
Yes, because Brock, Misty, Surge. My
Yeah.
God, my
I
Pokemon
just,
knowledge, my
I just,
brain is
uh,
broken. Anyway,
I just
he might
hate.
actually,
Just gives
Surge
them.
might be the first time he actually earns a badge. To be totally honest, and I
Okay.
cannot remember.
Well, I
Don't
hope
quote
so.
me on that.
Because it's ridiculous that Brock and Misty were just like, yeah, you did good. Here's a badge. Now
Misty's
we're
like
going to
giving you
follow
a badge
you.
in exchange for my bike. What?
Yeah.
You're not going to give me my bike back? Fine, I'm going to follow you
Yeah,
forever.
exactly. So, but,
Ugh.
yeah, so I watched the Bulbasaur, the Charmander, and the Squirtle episode.
The Charmander
And the
episode is
Charmander
so
episode is so
sad.
sad. And I hate it. But yeah, the Bulbasaur one, like, Bulbasaur is the only one that he actually fights and catches because Bulbasaur is all, I don't trust humans, but hey, Ash just saved my friends. Okay, now I want to fight Pikachu.
I'm going to abandon the only human who's ever been nice to me to go with this other dude.
She tells
Does,
him to
doesn't she?
go away.
Okay.
Cause Bulbasaur, cause she's like, these guys are gonna be okay, and if you stay here, they're not gonna learn. They're not gonna learn to go back out into nature and be the Pokemon that they are.
It's
and
like a
all of
weird,
that. And it's
like
like,
a weird anti-zoo
it's
commentary.
Like this, it's this weird. It's also this like whole, you can't protect people forever because they're not gonna learn how to protect themselves or save themselves. Like it's the whole it's the like hand holding thing that we've talked about before. And so Bulbasaur is like, yeah, okay, I'ma fight you now. I'm ready to fight you. Let's do it. And then Pikachu beats him, and then he catches Bulbasaur.
Again, against type.
Yeah.
Pokemon
type.
the anime.
Yeah. Well, he supercharges Pikachu in like the second
Still.
episode, and it's like, oh my god. Oh yeah, no, it's still against type. But, and he catches Bulbasaur, and then Bulbasaur, cool, awesome, great, super happy that you're on his team. And then the Charmander episode happens, and it makes me almost cry, and then Charmander is just like, no, I like you, I'm coming with.
And then
Squirtle,
I don't know how much do you know about
thing.
How much do you know about when he becomes Charmeleon though?
Not a lot.
Oh,
nothing.
He hits teenage angsty years so hard, it's
Beautiful.
fucking fabulous.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'm sure. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Those 3 episodes are so weird and so great.
Like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles of Squirtles that come out.
The Squirtle Squad? Oh,
yes.
man. I like
Ninja Squirtles. There we go.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Squirtles, yeah. And I never got, yeah, it's so good. But people always talk about Squirtle Squad, and I never could talk about it because I never saw the episode. And I'm like, yeah, Squirtle, cool, group of Squirtles. What's
sunglasses.
What's the big deal? Oh, the big deal is that they were abandoned by their trainers, so now they're just gonna run amok and make shit hard for everybody. Because they were abandoned, but who abandons Pokemon? Let me ask you. Let me tell you.
Especially
assholes.
Squirtle. Who abandons a Squirtle?
Well, that's like
they get you through that first gym in like 2 shots.
Who abandons a Bulbasaur? Like Bulbasaur's whole thing too, I think, was that he was abandoned, or something.
Bulbasaur gets you through the first like 3 gyms so easily.
and Charmander, that's just the meanest thing to do to anyone.
Especially because they then have to introduce the concept of like if the flame goes out, they
Charmander might die.
They so early introduce the concept of Pokedeath into this universe.
It's so bad, but it was really good. I was very happy to watch those 3 episodes because I now have context to the world of Pokemon.
But also, so early on, you can tell me this. Does Ash's mom still have that Mr. Mime husband?
No, it doesn't show
doesn't
up
have
yet.
It yet?
It hasn't
Okay,
shown up yet.
he must come in later.
I don't think. Not that I remember, at least.
Man.
Because you've been watching Sun and Moon. I can't wait. I need to go back and watch Sun and Moon because I love the Pokemon in that world so much.
It's so funny. It's so funny because the Pokemon still look like their regular Pokemon. It's the people that are animated differently. All of the Pokemon still look like Pokemon. Mm-hmm. But all of the people are just animated.
I just need to get up to the point where Meltan shows up in the Sun and Moon because Meltan and Eevee are best friends, and I need that in my life.
Oh, Sun and Moon, where the Eevee learning to surf was
video.
That was
so cute with Mantine.
Yes.
The Pokemon Twitter has been hitting the
are
mark for
they
adorable Eevee shorts.
are they paying us to promote Detective Pikachu yet? Ryan Reynolds, give me money.
Right? Yeah. I mean,
Or some of your
listen to
gin. I'll
this.
take your gin.
Yeah, that'd be fine too. I'd be okay with that. We should totally like send a quick tweet and be like, "Hey, if you want to endorse us, we got you. We got you, boo."
No, we've already decided that Twitter is not the best place to promote us because we're afraid of the
No.
people we would attract on Twitter.
That's very true. Oh man. But yeah,
Uh,
that's pretty much all I got.
yeah, me too.
I went.
Once we
Oh,
start selling out, it's time to go home.
hold on.
Uh,
I do have news because this is big. All right. I went to the dentist right before this episode, and this is the first time in like years where I left the dentist with a quote unquote clean bill of health, and
Yay!
have no problems with my mouth.
Yay!
And because I think I've talked about my fear of the dentist before.
I don't think you have,
If I
but it's
haven't,
understandable.
I do not like going to the dentist. I used to love going to the dentist as a child, and then stuff happened at the dentist where I was like choking and gagging, and it was bad. It was a bad situation. So now I'm afraid to go into the dentist. So every time I go for a cleaning, I'm like, this is gonna be bad. I'm gonna have to leave with needing to get 4 cavities, and then that's a living hell. But yeah, no, I was good. I'm happy.
There, we
First
beat you,
time.
dentists. That's what you get.
Boom. End on that.
And to end on that, you can. This has been Say Report Jr. podcast you should be listening to, subscribe to, and downloading every week. You can find us on Twitter at Say Report Jr. and you can search for us on YouTube if you search Say Report Jr. Just remember that the juniors are always JR, not the full word spelled out.
You can also, big news, you can also now find us on Spotify.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Spotify,
Yeah, you can.
Yes, you can. Our Spotify has a podcast section, and if you search Say Report Jr., you can.
Or the Say Report. I guess we'll give them some.
Yeah,
We'll give them some promotion too.
We'll plug them. Both the Say Report and the Say Report Jr. or just Say Report Jr. are on Spotify now, so you can. There's even more ways to listen to us. There's the YouTube. Spotify and Apple Music. There's also podcast app that we have on our phones now. I don't remember the name of it.
Podcast Addict is what I use. There's all sorts of different podcasts. But anything that'll bring up an RSS feed, basically, or libsyn feed, or whatever it is we use.
So,
I don't know how technology works.
I don't know. I think Podcast Addict is like connected to the Apple Store, or to the Apple Podcast app. So whatever goes on there goes on to the Podcast Addict, I think.
Wow.
I could be wrong, but I'm very happy about the Spotify because that like feels like we've hit the.
It feels like super legitimate, doesn't it? It feels like legit that your name is on a service with like real celebrity people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, the fact that I had to physically like submit the podcast to Spotify, I mean, it was easy, but I had to hit a button that says submit.
It feels like exclusive in a way.
And you do have to go through a approval thing. So we got approved and we're on Spotify. So even more ways. And you can also follow us on Twitter, each of us individually, because I don't think we've mentioned that yet. So if you have anything that you want to say to us, if you want to tell me I'm wrong about something that I said tonight, please let me know because I don't like being wrong and I like learning stuff. Tweet me at Dale's Brain.
And if you want to, I don't know, talk to me about how awesome Scream is, because I will not hear otherwise. I am at Zerwisky.
Yeah, I need some ice cream.
I need some ice cream too. Take it away, Liz.
Thank you for listening to The Say Report with your hosts Dale Decker and Zach Sarowick. Please follow the guys on Twitter and Facebook by searching for The Say Report, and you can always subscribe on your podcast channel so this is delivered straight to you and you can enjoy it every week. With apologies to your mother, we'll see you next time.